So you may remember a while back when I said that adding Attack on Titan to the game meant that absolutely any property was now fair game for Dead by Daylight. And when I said that, even I couldn't have expected what was announced today. So without me telling you, let's just take a look. Roll the footage.
There's nothing more powerful than imagination. It can shape the fabric of reality, transforming everything you may think you know.
That's right, Nicolas Cage, the actor, not a character, not somebody, not a license from some kind of movie or whatever. No, just the guy, the enigmatic actor, Nick Cage, is coming to Dead by Daylight with his own paragraph, and you know, this is the type of thing that I kind of needed because, okay, so I've been working on a much longer video. It's going to come in at about an hour's length, and towards the end of it, I mentioned that I've been kind of burned out on Dead by Daylight, and I've needed something new for a while now. And this is new. This is the kind of thing that I was talking about, even if it's completely ridiculous. So what I want to do here today is I want to break down a couple aspects of this. The main thing I want to do is I want to address some of the things like, okay, so does Nick Cage belong here? What doors does this open potentially? I just want to do all that. So first off, the main question, does Nick Cage belong in Dead by Daylight? My initial gut feeling is kind of no, like not really. It's a very strange fit, but at the same time, yes. At the same time, there is something about Nick Cage that the fact that he is now just waltzing into the realm of the entity, I believe it. Strangely enough, I believe it. Now, again, does this kind of take the game down a certain campy, strange avenue? Yeah, I think so. But at the same time, there are a few things to note here. First off, Nick Cage has done horror before. It's not like he's a total stranger to the genre. He did the fantastic film Mandy, which if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to get into any kind of spoilers for it. Just know it is strange. It's a strange movie. He also did that one where all of the parents want to kill the kids. I think it was called Mom and Dad. And I don't know that I would actually say you need to watch that one. Maybe, you know, if you want to. But Elvis the Alien actually did a really good video on it. So I would probably just watch that. But if you want to dedicate the full like hour and a half of your life to doing that, yeah, go for it. Go watch the whole video. I mean, the full movie. But the point that I'm making here is that, yeah, Nick Cage is not a stranger to horror. He has dabbled in horror before. Obviously, he's just now doing that vampire movie. Admittedly, it looks kind of terrible. I haven't watched it. Maybe I'll get around to it when it's free on a streaming service. But, vampires, those are horrific. Yeah, sure, that counts. Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider was kind of like superhero horror to some extent. I mean, not really, but it scared me as a kid. So there's a certain case to be made that, okay, does he have the type of horror credentials you might want? No, but it's not as left field as some licenses have been in the past. When you look at gaming, sometimes you get licenses that just make a world of sense, and then sometimes you get ones that are just really, really bizarre. So I think back to days with like Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit showing up in fighting games. I think about Darth Vader and Yoda showing up in, Soul Calibur. I think about John Cena showing up in Fortnite. Like just the guy, not one of his characters, just John Cena, much like Nick Cage here. Yeah, so these things do happen. I mean, I thought almost everything Mortal Kombat 11 did was kind of a strange one. You know, Joker, I guess, made some sense, but Rambo, RoboCop, like that was pretty left field. That was pretty bizarre. So, okay, licenses in gaming can get weird. Okay, I accept that. And if we were going to get a weird one, Nick Cage is kind of an exciting opportunity here. Like, this is an exciting option that they went with. Choosing a guy who in real life is very bizarre. I don't know if you've watched Nick Cage in interviews, but this is a man who almost seems like he has been to the fog before, who seems like he has stared down the eldritch deity that is the entity and come out on the other side. This is an interesting guy. And he's a guy, by the way, if you've seen Con Air, he's a guy who cannot do a southern accent. It's hilarious. Watch the movie for that alone, if nothing else. And by adding Nick Cage here, Dead by Daylight is leaning into some of the goofiness. But again, I said, hey, by doing this, they're setting themselves up to where all of a sudden pretty much anything is fair game. And that's what I said back with Attack on Titan. Now, as I mentioned at the start, did I think that meant Nicolas Cage coming to the game? No, not in a million years would I have thought we were getting a Nick Cage chapter. But if the question is, hey Food, how do you feel about this? I'm going to say something controversial here, and I hit on something kind of similar in that longer video that I'm talking about that's probably coming out on Friday, but here goes some cold water. Nick Cage belongs in this game just about as much as Albert Wesker does. And I know, there are going to be people who do not like that I said that, but I'm going to stand by it. I'll elaborate more on Wesker probably in another video, but if we're going to accept Albert Wesker being in the game, Nick Cage is kind of logical, I guess, in the same vein. Like, it works. Now, one thing it didn't note, is he a survivor? Is he a killer? I have to imagine he's a survivor. I would have to imagine, but because Nick Cage is so, I don't know, so wacky, so out there, there is every chance he comes into the game as a killer. I don't think he will. I don't see that happening, but there's every chance it happens. So overall, the actual Nick Cage stuff, very exciting. One thing that kind of strikes me as fun is there was a leak. Now, if all you wanted was the Nick Cage stuff, we're done with that. I'm going to address a leak and some implications of that. Not even about the anniversary, by the way. It's not about the anniversary, so you can keep listening or you can go and do something else, you know, kind of bookmark this one for later. But I do want to address a leak that said we were going to be getting a lot of licenses this upcoming year and a lot of paragraphs. This was from, I believe, DVEET is how you say it. It's DVEET. So they are kind of the most consistent source for leaks these days. And they said we should be looking forward to a lot of licensed paragraphs coming up, which means one-off characters. So one thing I wonder, okay, Nick Cage, is this an isolated incident, or could it be possible that we get some other people who have rubbed shoulders with the horror genre, some more enigmatic people coming in the form of paragraphs? A couple of them jump out to me right from the start. Danny Trejo would be one who I think is entirely possible because Danny Trejo has made quite the living in kind of schlocky horror films. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger would make some sense. Obviously, we would prefer that Arnold comes along in the form of a Predator or Terminator chapter, but maybe this is as good as it gets. Maybe we get Arnold. Another one, I would say, just putting it out there, just hypothetically, don't think it's gonna happen. What about Neve Campbell? Better known possibly as Sidney Prescott from Scream. What if the way that they circumvent paying for the Scream license is by getting the Ghostface likeness, which they already have, and then getting Neve Campbell in the game as well? Could be interesting. Will they do it? Probably not, but that would be one to keep an eye on. So basically, I'm going to toss it back to you now. I am very curious to know, how do you feel about Nick Cage coming to the game? And who would you like to see? Come on, let's be real here. You can add a celebrity to the game. Who are you adding? And why is it probably going to be just a million people saying Danny DeVito? But generally speaking, that's kind of it for the news. This one is thoroughly shocking. Also, just to get out ahead of it, could they be trolling? Yes, but here's why, just real quick, why I don't think they are, because the blowback would be substantial. People would be very angry. If you think people were angry about way back when they put the files in the game for the teacher killer that was just a troll, this would be way worse. So no, I don't think they went through the trouble of making a model for Nicolas Cage and doing the reveal trailer and all that. No, I don't think it's a troll, but if it is, admittedly, it's a hilarious one. But I think it's real. I think it's going to happen. Anyway, we live in an interesting world, a funny world, and Dead by Daylight is anything but boring right now. After the night and the Skull Merchant and just the general feel around the game started to kind of go a bad direction, this is the kind of funny thing that I needed to at least get me back involved. I think it's hilarious. I think it's great. I'm just dying to know your thoughts down below. And again, please suggest celebrities that you might like to see. These types of one-off, not characters so much, but real people. Because man, if Attack on Titan opened the door for everything, this one just blew it off the hinges. This is hilarious. I do have conflicting feelings, but at the end of the day, I'm more positive than negative. So anyway, that's gonna do it for me. Until the next video, I've been Das Food. Hope you're taking care of yourself, and bye, friends.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness in my